Save the date. The Nats Chat end-of-year podcast party will be Friday night, October 10th at Walters. Start time is TBD.
Johnson delivers, swing and a line drive in hard. It is a fair ball down into the right field corner. Lyle speeding around first. The ball caroms away from White. Lyle around second. He'll go to third, and he slides in, even though Ricky Gutierrez said stay up. It's a triple for Lyle. He sets a new Nationals franchise rookie record for triples in a season with his 10th. Here's the kick, here's the pitch, and a swing and a miss. And a changeup to the outer half, maybe off the plate. Wood strikes out for the fourth straight time in the game. And the Braves have taken game one of the doubleheader and the first two games of this series.
The 0-2. Olsen hits it hard, fair, inside of first, rolling down the line all the way to the corner. One run is in. Here's number two. Profar getting waved around third. Olsen's going to go to third. The relay throw there is not in time. It's a bases-clearing triple for Matt Olsen, who continues to torment the Nats in this series. Was left in scoring position. 1-0. Ground ball to third. Brujan looks the runner back and will throw across the diamond to first in time. And that is the ball game tonight. A thriller ends up being an Atlanta Braves 5-0 extra inning victory.
And welcome to Nats Chat. I'm Al Galdi, host of the Al Galdi podcast. My usual co-host on the podcast, Mark Zuckerman, MASNsports.com Nationals insider. He is off for this installment of the podcast, but I'm pleased to be joined by the owner and executive producer of the Nats Chat podcast, Tim Shover. So we on Tuesday learned of the death of actor Robert Redford, who famously played Roy Hobbs in the all-time movie The Natural. Daylen Lile is beginning to remind us of Roy Hobbs with what Daylen Lile is doing, and that's a good thing. What is not a good thing is what is happening with the Nats in this ongoing four-game series against the Atlanta Braves at Nationals Park. Tuesday, the Nats got swept over two games against the Braves in a doubleheader. The Nats now have lost each of the first three games of this series, and this ended up being quite the lengthy day at Nationals Park as Game 2 was delayed for 2 hours in terms of the start due to rain. Tuesday afternoon, a 6-3 loss to the Braves. Tuesday night, a 5-0 10-inning loss to the Braves. The Nats in MLB's 2025 regular season now are 62-90, worst record in the National League East, second worst record in the National League, third worst record in the majors, and the Nats now are 7 games behind the Braves for fourth in the NL East. Any realistic hope of the Nats not finishing last in the NL East would seem to be gone. We always enjoy hearing from you. You can find us on X at Nats_chat. You can find us on Blue Sky at Nats Chat Podcast. You can email us natschatpodcast@gmail.com. We have a website that we'd love for you to check out too, natschatpodcast.com, at which you can purchase a Nats Chat podcast t-shirt. We have an update on the Nats search for a head of baseball operations. We on Tuesday night had reports that Chicago Cubs general manager Carter Hawkins no longer is a candidate. He is remaining as the Cubs GM. It's not clear whether this was his choice or the Nats choice, but a guy who had been a candidate to be the Nats next head of baseball ops now is out of the running. And yeah, Tim, this ended up being a marathon day at Nationals Park. And at this point, as much as we'd love to drum up interest in the Nats' charge to not finish last in the division, it would seem that that is pretty well set at this point, with the Nats now 7 games behind the Braves.
There was a glimmer of hope to pass Miami last week. That fell apart when they lost the final 2 games of that series. There was a glimmer of hope to pass the Braves entering this week with 7 games against each other in the next week and a half. They've lost these first 3. That's all gone. Yes, Al, last place is coming. That's how 2025 is going to be for the Nationals. And to put in perspective what kind of day this was at Nationals Park, they started playing baseball at 1 o'clock. First game happened, normal timing. And then they didn't play again until 8:45. And that game went into extra innings. The top of the 10th took forever. And it's just one of those days.
Yeah, and the Nats went scoreless in that game 2 of the doubleheader. You know, looking back on it, it would have been better had this just been a straight doubleheader, a traditional doubleheader. I get the idea, right? They want the admission for each game. The Nats want the ticket revenue for each game. But look, it's not like the ballpark was packed for these two games on Tuesday. And it just felt like, we knew what the forecast was. It just felt like you were waiting for the inevitable rain delay come Tuesday night. And sure enough, we got a 2-hour delay to the start of the game. The good news is that once the game started, the game was played to its conclusion without interruption. So that was good. But yeah, took a while to get that game 2 going. A rough doubleheader for the Nats offensively. The 6-3 loss to the Braves in Game 1 of the doubleheader. The Nats scored just 3 runs, totaled 7 hits, worked 3 walks, went 2 for 5 with runners in scoring position, and struck out 12 times. The 7 hits were a triple and 6 singles. The Nats got worked by Brave starting pitcher Jose Suarez. He allowed 2 runs in 7 innings with 9 strikeouts. So Jose Suarez, not exactly 1995 Greg Maddux. James Wood had a brutal game in Game 1 of the doubleheader. He is the Nats starting DH and number 2 batter, 0 for 5 with 4 strikeouts. But the bright spot continues to be Daylen Lile, the natural. He is the Nats starting left fielder and number 4 batter, went 2 for 4 with a triple and a single. Yes, Lile had another triple. The triple, his 10th, setting a new record for most triples by a Nationals rookie in a regular season since the franchise moved to Washington, D.C. Lile in a Nats 1-run 8th had a 1-out triple to the right field corner on a 1-2 pitch. But the 5-0 10-inning loss to the Braves in Game 2 of the doubleheader, the Nats offense was especially bad. No runs, 5 hits, no walks, 0 for 10 with runners in scoring position. The Nats got dominated by Braves ace Chris Sale. He tossed 8 scoreless innings with 9 strikeouts versus no walks. And Nats interim manager Miguel Cairo did not play James Wood or shortstop C.J. Abrams in this game at all. That was interesting. Dylan Cruz had 2 of the Nats' 5 hits. That was good. He is the Nats starting right fielder and number 2 batter, 2 for 4 with 2 singles and a stolen base. But the James Wood struggles have become impossible to ignore and certainly impossible to deny. Wood for this regular season now has an OPS of .814. Daylen Lile's OPS for this regular season now is 1 point less than Wood's .813. Lile for this month of September has an OPS of 1,246. Lile is surging. Lile is hitting the way Wood was hitting earlier this season, and it's painful right now to see Wood struggle like this, to see him not even play in Game 2 of this doubleheader.
Painful indeed. 4 strikeouts in that first game. He's up to 209, and that is already the franchise record. He's 14 away from Mark Reynolds' all-time record. But to me, this is the most telling stat. He's 23 ahead of second place, Riley Greene. I mean, Riley Greene a few weeks ago was like 5 back, I feel like. I've been tracking this since about early to mid-August. And now Wood is just so far past in 4 strikeouts in one game. So now where we're at with that, and I agree with sitting him in Game 2 after a performance like that. And man, does this team need an off day. One more game to go that fits into that point. But he's 14 back with 10 games to go. And I got to say, if he plays all 10, he's setting that record.
Wood's OPS as of games through July 3rd was .958. That the OPS is all the way down to .814 now is really a shame. Now look, .814 as an OPS, that's not bad. That's actually good. But it's where he was that makes that .814 look not so good. And, we on the podcast for weeks now have been talking about this. This is not a new development, the struggles of James Wood. And we, for weeks now, have been begging for Wood to catch fire again and to end the season in strong fashion. I guess you could say there's still time for that, but we are running out of time. There's not that much time left in the season. There's a week and a half left in the season, and this just does not seem to be trending in a good way for James Wood, and it's too bad because he was so good going into the All-Star break. He, since the All-Star break, just has not been that good, and that's what makes, I think, the strikeouts especially pronounced. It's one thing if you're killing it and you're striking out a ton, but if you're struggling and striking out a ton, then the strikeouts really are a negative. And the strikeouts right now are a big problem. And again, that line in Game 1, 0 for 5, 4 strikeouts, that was tough.
They're obviously not going to fire any of the coaches until the season ends, which is less than 2 weeks away. But, I received a bunch of emails. So people kind of criticized my anti-Darnell Coles take in the final few months of the season. Like they had fired Martinez, they moved on, play out the string. The performance by Wood the past month and a half is exactly why I think they should have gotten rid of Coles. I just want to say that. I know that horse has been buried, but this is so unacceptable. He might not even hit 30 homers this year, Al.
Yeah, that's very much in doubt. I mean, he's at 27, and we thought that, 40 was a given, never mind 30, and I don't know that he'll get to 28, to be honest with you. I mean, he doesn't hit homers. That's the other thing. He stopped hitting homers, so, he may stay at 27 for the rest of the season here. It's too bad. But on the flip side is Daylen Lile, and I don't think enough good things can be said about the job that Daylen Lile is doing. I mentioned him setting this Nationals record for most triples by a rookie. Daylen Lile has done that in basically half of a season. Usually you think of a rookie, you say, okay, he's been up for at least like 2/3, 3/4 of the season. Daylen Lile in this regular season has only played in 82 games. That's it. So he's going to end up playing in a little more than half of the Nats games here, and yet he has these 10 triples. And it's not just about the triples. I mean, the guy has hit homers, the guy has doubles, and his OPS, as mentioned now, is up to 813. The slash line is a batting average of 291, an on-base percentage of 342, and a slugging percentage of 471. Now, it can be tricky to figure out what is real and what is fake over the final 2 months of a season for a bad team. And we have been duped before. Guys who look good in August and September and then are basically never heard from again. But Lyle's a young guy. Lile was thought to have upside prior to him catching fire. And to see him catch fire like that, at the very least, offers some real hope and optimism moving forward that the Nats might have something here. I mean, he's been one of the best hitters in the sport in this month of September.
He's the best player on the Nats right now. The 10 triples, given how little he's played compared to everyone else in the league this year, up on top of that leaderboard, is phenomenal. To start the season in Double-A like that and to end the season as the team's best offensive player, I mean, what a rare feat. I know that Juan Soto, I think he played in Hagerstown the same season he got called up. Maybe I have that timeline off. This is more an area for Mark. But how often in Nats history in the last 20 years is a real contributor in September someone who started the season in Double-A? Forget Triple-A. I mean Double-A.
And Lile has had multiple stints at the major league level this season. He didn't exactly kill it in the first stint. This has kind of come out of nowhere, him being this good this quickly, and I give him a lot of credit. So, you know what? At least Darnell Coles can point to Daylen Lile and say, hey, Shovers, you don't like the work I've done with Wood. How about the work I've done with Daylen Lile? Hey, as the end of the Nats season approaches, a salute to one of the great sponsors of the Nats Chat podcast, Window Nation. If you want new windows, if you need new windows, contact Window Nation. Tell Window Nation that Al Galdi from the Nats Chat podcast sent you. That helps out this podcast a lot, and that gets you a great deal on great Window Nation windows. In fact, now is the best time of year to get new windows. Whether you have old, drafty windows or cheap builder-grade windows, September is the perfect month to protect your home from cooler weather. And right now, Window Nation is offering its most popular offer: buy 2 replacement windows, get 2 for free. Plus, you won't pay any interest, pay any monthly payments, or pay any down payment for 2 years. 866-90Nation or visit windownation.com and tell Window Nation that you want the deal that you heard about from Al Galdi on the Nats Chat podcast. With Window Nation, you get top quality windows from a trusted company, all at a reasonable price, because Window Nation knows that replacing windows is an investment, and Window Nation wants to make the investment affordable to you. And do not miss this great offer from Window Nation. For listeners of the Nats Chat podcast, the offer is good until September 30th. Buy 2 windows, get 2 free, and you pay nothing for 2 years. 866-90Nation or windownation.com. That's 866-90Nation or windownation.com. And tell Window Nation that Al Galdi from the Nats Chat podcast sent you.
Here's the 1-2 pitch. Olsen hits a high fly ball right center field. Matt Olsen has homered for the 4th straight game. It's into the second deck to right center field. He got a fastball middle in and barreled it up. Olsen continues a heater for the Braves, who have hit 2 home runs in this inning and scored 5 runs. It's now 5-2 Atlanta.
The Nats starting pitching in the team getting swept by the Braves in this doubleheader on Tuesday. Bad in Game 1, but good in Game 2. The 6-3 loss to the Braves in Game 1 of the doubleheader. Jake Irvin allowed 5 runs in 6 innings. He gave up 8 hits, which were 2 home runs, a double, and 5 singles. He issued 2 walks. He did record 5 strikeouts, and while he threw a lot of pitches, he did throw a lot of strikes, 102 pitches, 67 strikes, 35 balls. But Irvin again got done in by an especially bad inning. This has been a theme for Irvin throughout this season. All 5 of the runs that Irvin allowed came in the top of the 4th, during which he allowed 2 home runs, a double, and 2 singles. So the homers came in back-to-back fashion with 2 outs, and each homer came on a 1-2 pitch. That was tough. Jake Irvin now for this regular season, 31 starts, ERA of 5.76, second worst ERA among all qualified pitchers in the majors. Nats starting pitcher Mitchell Parker has the worst ERA among all qualified pitchers in the majors, 5.85. And Irvin has allowed an MLB worst 35 home runs. It has been a really bad season for Jake Irvin. But on the bright side, MacKenzie Gore. He was the Nats starting pitcher in the 5-0 10-inning loss to the Braves in Game 2 of the doubleheader, and Gore was good for a second time in 2 starts in his return from the 15-day injured list. Gore tossed 5 1/3 shutout innings with 5 strikeouts. He gave up just 2 hits, which were a double and a single. He issued 3 walks. He threw 92 pitches, 56 strikes, 36 balls. Gore's initial start off the IL was for the Nats' 5-0 loss at the Miami Marlins last Thursday evening, September 11th. And you and I did the installment of the podcast for that show, and Gore in that game was good. 2 runs in 5 innings. So far, so good for Gore in this return from the 15-day IL. He was on that, remember, due to left shoulder inflammation. We thought his season might be done. It obviously was not done. And not only is it not done, but Gore has pitched well in these 2 starts off, remember, having struggled prior to going on the 15-day IL.
Last time we talked, I said you should be happy that he pitched and seemed fine out there. And I sort of add to that, again, even though that moment has passed, a solid outing from him. Looks like he's going to hopefully end September on a bit of a high note or a strong note. Also, his ERA is at an even 4.0, so he dropped that down there. So we'll see if one of his final starts, he can get underneath that threshold. As for Irvin, the only thing I want to hear about Jake Irvin in spring training next year is that he's competing for the 5th spot, if that. 5.76 ERA. Looking forward to his season ending soon.
It has been a nightmare of a season for Jake Irvin and Mitchell Parker. It is 6-1, half dozen in the other when it comes to who has had the worst season by a Nats starting pitcher this season. And yeah, MacKenzie Gore, 29 starts this regular season, ERA exactly 4, as Tim said. Gore under 4. That should be the mantra for MacKenzie Gore the rest of the way here, because I think he's had a season to where he has earned an ERA under 4. If there's such a thing as earning an ERA at a certain level, Gore, to me, has earned an ERA under 4. So let's get that bad boy under 4 and end the season in a good way. But good for him for looking as he has looked in coming off the IL. The Nats relief pitching in the team getting swept by the Braves in this doubleheader on Tuesday. Good in Game 1, bad in Game 2. Although the bad in Game 2 really was about just one guy. The 6-3 loss to the Braves in Game 1 of the doubleheader. 3 Nats relievers combined to allow 1 run in 3 innings. P.J. Poulin tossed the scoreless top of the 7th, despite giving up a wet-out double and then issuing a 1-out walk. Orlando Rebolta allowed 1 run in 1 inning. He, in the top of the 8th, allowed a run on 3 singles, and Shinosuke Ogasawara tossed the scoreless top of the 9th. The 5-0 10-inning loss to the Braves in Game 2 of the doubleheader. 5 Nats relievers combined to allow 5 runs, 4 earned in 4 2/3 innings. Jackson Rutledge, 1 2/3 scoreless innings. Connor Pilkington, a scoreless and hitless top of the 8th. Jose A. Ferrer, a perfect top of the 9th on just 11 pitches. Mason Thompson got the 10th. He officially allowed 5 runs, 4 earned in a third of an inning. Thompson, in what ended up being a 5-run 10th for the Braves, gave up a leadoff RBI double by Drake Baldwin off the right field warning track on a 1-2 pitch for a 1-0 Braves lead, and gave up a 1-out 3-run triple by Matt Olson down the right field line on an 0-2 pitch for a 4-0 Braves lead. And P.J. Poulin in the Braves' 5-run 10th faced 3 batters and got 2 outs, one of which was an RBI sac fly for a 5-0 Braves lead. I don't know about you, but I wonder why Miguel Cairo did not have Jose A. Ferrer pitch the 10th off having thrown just 11 pitches in that perfect top of the ninth. Now, I know it has come up that maybe Ferrer isn't totally healthy right now, but he certainly looked healthy in that ninth inning, and we certainly have seen Ferrer be deployed for more than one inning in terms of his appearances under Miguel Cairo. Instead, Cairo went with Mason Thompson, and the result was not good.
Yeah, I was surprised as well, given how few pitches that Ferrer needed in the ninth. But if Cairo didn't think he could go, I get that. But I'm with you there. In between Ferrer and Thompson taking the mound, the Nats had a real chance to end this game in the bottom of the ninth. Runners around the corners. Luis Garcia Jr. hit a deep one to the wall. Ronald Acuna Jr. So junior on junior crime right there. He made a great catch. To the 10th we go, and then it fell apart. So that was the real shame, where the Nats came within inches of walking off the Braves in the ninth. Mason Thompson, things haven't been looking good for him since he's come back up. And just sort of remember, because these might be the final few days of Mason Thompson in a Nats uniform, he was acquired for Daniel Hudson as part of the fire sale. So that's sort of what I'll always associate Mason Thompson with the Nats.
Yeah, that bottom of the ninth was tough. You had the Nats in business. Dylan Cruz had a one-out single, followed by Josh Bell with a one-out single. So the Nats had runners at the corners with just one out. Daylen Lile popped out, and Luis Garcia Jr. flew out, and that was it for that Nats thread in that ninth inning. So the Nats are on the verge here of getting swept in 4 games against the Braves. Not what we were anticipating or hoping for in this series. Game 4 for the Nats against the Braves Wednesday afternoon at 4:05. Brad Lord will be the Nats starting pitcher. And then finally, mercifully, an off day for the Nats. They are in the midst of this stretch of 14 games in 13 days. This has been, not a brutal stretch in terms of results. I mean, the Nats have had some success during this stretch. Won 2 out of 3 games at the Chicago Cubs, split a 4-game series at the Miami Marlins. As you may recall, swept a 3-game series against the Marlins at Nationals Park, September 1st through September 3rd. But, it's been taxing playing all these games for sure. It obviously is late in a lost season. I am sure the Nats are so looking forward to that off day on Thursday. And then after that, the Nats have an off day the following Thursday before the final series of the season, a 3-game set against the American League worst Chicago White Sox at Nationals Park, September 26th through the 28th. So in a lot of ways, you get to Thursday and, the season's not over, but you can start to breathe a little bit in anticipation of the season ending if you're the Nats. And of course, then the real work is going to begin. Who becomes the head of baseball operations and what change does the team undergo this coming offseason? But this has been a difficult stretch just in terms of volume of games. And this series so far has been tough. I mean, the Nats in this series have been outscored 22-6 against the Braves over these first 3 games. You'd like to see certainly a better offensive showing in this game 4 on Wednesday afternoon.
They scored a couple runs in the second inning in game 1. So if you look at the final 17 innings of the day, they scored 1 run. So those 6 runs you talked about, 5 of those came early on in the series. It's been a really tough stretch for the team. That 4-game series in Miami and having that night game kind of threw a lot of things off instead of that being a day game. Let me just give you a peek behind the curtains from Nats Chat. You've heard Al talk about how sometimes our post-show conversation, we get really into it. Last night after we taped, not a word was exchanged. We're all tired here, mid-September. It's been a real busy stretch here. And if I can make a request to our AI overlords that make the schedule now, it used to be made by a couple in Martha's Vineyard. It's now made, by AI. No more day off on that final Thursday, please. It's a wasted day off. Better use in other weeks throughout the season. It's a very small thing.
Well, the day off that I think needs to be done away with is the day off after the home opener. I can't stand that. That to me is such a waste, especially when you open the season at home, you play 1 game and then you get an off day and then you resume the series. That to me is such a waste of an off day. So that would be my change that I would make. By the way, the Nats have clinched yet another 90-loss regular season. This is the Nats' 6th consecutive losing regular season. It is the 5th consecutive 90-loss regular season. And of course, the first of those losing regular seasons, 2020, was the COVID-shortened season. But The Nats almost certainly will not be getting to 100 losses this season, but 90 losses, the Nats have gotten to that level. Hit us up on X at Nats_chat. Hit us up on Blue Sky at Nats Chat Podcast. You can email us, natschatpodcast@gmail.com. We have a website too, natschatpodcast.com. All Nationals radio highlights on Nats Chat are courtesy of 106.7 The Fan. For Tim Shovers, I'm Al Galdi. We thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next time on the Nats Chat Podcast.
Come here. Hey, hustle it up. Let me see that bat.
Not bad, kid.
Where'd you get this?
I made it myself from a tree near home.
Wonder Boy. Take it out. You put that on there? What does it mean?
I made it a long time ago when I was a kid. I wanted it to be a very special bat.
How about this lightning bolt?
The tree that I made it from was split open by lightning.
I don't figure this. All those years and you never played organized baseball?
Well, I sort of got sidetracked.